and we are studying organizational behavior of semester 4. In our last video, we talked about the second chapter of organizational behavior, which is individual behavior. And in that, we started with the topic on attitude. Today, in continuation with the last video, we will be again discussing more about the topic attitude. So what we are going to see today? We are going to talk about formation of attitudes, measurement of attitudes, and changing attitudes. Now let us first start with the topic of formation of attitudes. Now it is very obvious that attitudes are not formed while people are born. People are born without any kind of attitudes. Then what are the sources which gives certain inputs so that people develop their attitudes? Or how are attitudes formed? Attitudes are formed by the experiences and learnings that a person gathers during the life. But there are various sources of attitudes. People develop attitudes so that they are able to conduct in reference to their environments. That means that people gather an attitude through the environment. So which are all the different sources of attitude? So first and very obvious source of attitude is the family. Now every child forms an attitude in the early childhood by looking at their parents. Parents are the biggest source of attitude formation. Whatever the parents or the immediate family members may believe, the child also believes that. So the early childhood period is very important for attitude formation. We all know that we carry certain beliefs, principles and values which are similar to our families. So our likes and dislikes would be based on what our family has. The second important source of attitude is the peer group. Now the peer group means people of our age, or maybe our classmates if we are studying, or maybe if we are working in an organization, then our colleagues or people around us. So all these people actually influence us. How do they influence us? And why our attitudes are also based on our peer group? So it is because every human being has a requirement or need to belong to people or to belong to their environment. And because of this need of belonging, people adjust their attitudes according to their environment. So whoever is in their environment, people tend to take their attitudes as well. That is why in organizations, if there are people with a negative attitude towards work, it can be spreaded easily because others are influenced to fit into that. And if there are people who are very enthusiastic, then again it can be spreaded very easily. So we take our attitudes or we gather our beliefs and values from our peer groups as well. Next source of attitude formation is role models. Now we all have role models, and these role models can either be from our environment, that is they may either belong to our family or the peer group, or the role models can be some celebrities whom we look up to. Now in our environment, we may have our parents, our friends, our elders like our elder brothers or sisters, and we may also have our teachers or our bosses to whom we look up to, and we tend to become like them. We always try to copy what our role models do and then start believing in the same values as our role models. If there is some celebrity like a sports person or an actor or anyone, then whatever they are doing, whatever they share in the media, we take all the information and get influenced, and our attitude also forms based on their attitudes. For example, if there is a celebrity actor who is very fit and does a lot of gymming or always advocates bodybuilding. And if a person has this person as a role model, then that person will always develop a liking towards fitness, will have a positive attitude towards health, will have a positive attitude towards exercise or gymming. So this is how we build our attitudes, by looking or copying our role models. And finally, we develop our attitudes through our past experiences. In our life, we gather different experiences with different people, places or things or objects or different concepts. And based on those repetitive experiences, if we have the same kind of experiences, then it develops as an attitude. For example, if a person has a bad experience from another person who is from a particular part of the country, for example from the north part of the country, and if the person repetitively has this experience with different people from the same part, then the person will develop a negative attitude towards all people from north. So this is how we develop our likings and dislikings based on our past experiences. So this is how we form our overall attitudes. But when we form these attitudes, we all have our unique learnings, and because of those unique learnings, we have our unique attitudes. But in the organization, if everyone has a different attitude, it becomes difficult to manage the work. So, it is very important for managers or leaders to know what are the attitudes of their employees. So for that, we need to measure attitudes. So let us see how can we measure the attitudes. Now, we already know that attitude is something which is intangible and which cannot be measured. But in order to know whether a person will behave in a positive manner or negative manner, or in order to know whether a high productivity will be achieved or not, it is very important to know the attitude or to measure the attitude. Now, attitude can be measured either in terms of direction or intensity. Direction as in whether a person has positive or a negative attitude towards something, or whether a person has a liking or disliking for that particular thing. And intensity means to what extent the person believes in that particular concept. Now, because attitude is intangible, we can say that managers or leaders can measure the attitudes or can guess the attitude of the employee just by observations. But the results will not be accurate at all times. So for that, there are 4 different methods of measuring attitudes. So the first method is Thurston's scale. Now in this method, favorable and unfavorable statements about a particular concept is given. For example, if you want to measure the attitude of an employee, then favorable and unfavorable statements about the job or the organization is given to the employees. The employee will have to agree or disagree with the statement. Now, taking out the average of all these statements, one can measure the attitude of the employee towards that particular concept or towards the job. The second method is the Likert scale, which talks about strongly agree or strongly disagree. Now, in this method, different statements about the job is given to the employee and 5 options are given to them, which starts from strongly agree to strongly disagree. And the employee needs to tick mark whichever suits the person or according to the person's attitude. Now the average of these is taken and one can come to a conclusion about where does the person stand as far as the attitude continuum is concerned. Whether the person stands at the most negative or most positive side. Now this method not only measures the direction but also measures the intensity, because here a person will tell whether the person strongly agrees or strongly disagrees. Now the third method is called the Bogardus's social distance scale. Now in this method, a large number of statements about a job is given and a person is asked to agree or disagree with them. After the summation of all these statements, one can derive to a conclusion about the attitude of an employee. The last method is called the Gutmann's scale. Now in this scale, a threshold is measured. Now an employee is given different statements which are unfavorable about the job, where the degree of unfavorable statement increases. And the person is asked whether the person agrees with these statements or not. Now there will come a point when the person will strongly disagree with that point, and that point is called the threshold point. And that point is actually the point of satisfaction of the employee, because now the person will strongly disagree at this unfavorable point about the job. So this is how we can measure the attitudes. But apart from all these skills, there is one more measurement of attitude. So another way of measurement of attitude is by means of projective tests through unstructured stimulus situation. Now in this method, the employee is put into an unstructured stimulus, that is, a particular situation is created and the behavior of the employee is observed. Now in such kind of environment, the employee tends to behave because of one's own requirement, motivation or expectation out of the situation. And when we see the behavior of the employee, we can get the idea about the attitude of the employee. So this is how we can measure the attitudes of employees in the organization. But having measured the attitudes or having known about the attitude of people, it is very important that something needs to be done to change them if they are not advantageous to the organization. Why? Because every person has a unique attitude and every person has a unique experience. But in order to work in an organization, a certain kind of behavior is required. To get that behavior, we need to change the attitude of people. So let us see our third topic, that is changing attitudes. Now usually people carry their attitudes throughout their life or through a longer period of time. Attitudes are actually persistent in nature, and there are two reasons for that. These two are the barriers which doesn't allow people to change their attitudes. So the first reason is the escalation of commitment. People usually feel committed to their own course of actions or past behaviors, and even though if there is a need to change, they resist change. And the second reason is the insufficient information. When a person doesn't know that one needs to change, then obviously he or she will not change. So it is important to inform the person that that person needs to change. The person may feel that there is no need to change and whatever is going on is correct. And that is why, due to the lack of information or insufficient information, the person or the employee will not change. So let us see how to overcome these barriers. So first way of overcoming the barriers is by providing new information. If the boss doesn't like a certain behavior or the way of working of his or her secretary, but the secretary feels that whatever he or she is doing is good and is happy with the job, then in this case, even though the boss doesn't like or even though the behavior is not the desired behavior, the secretary will not change the behavior. In this case, the secretary needs to be provided with the information that a certain behavior or the way of working needs to be changed. So here the boss needs to tell the secretary which kind of behavior is expected from him or her. With this new information, the employee will understand the need to change, because unless any new information is not there, the employee will always feel that whatever he or she is doing is correct and will continue with that. The second way of overcoming the barriers is the use of fear. Now, whenever a fear of loss is given to people, they tend to behave in a certain manner. So in the organizations also, some fear of loss has to be given so that employees behave in a certain manner. And this fear of loss can be in terms of some monetary punishment or some other punishments. But if the loss is very low, then the employee is not motivated to change. If the loss is moderate, then the employee will change. But if the loss is too high, then the employee will not believe and again will not change. So the fear of loss that has to be used has to be moderate. Now the third point or the third way of overcoming the barriers is influence of friends or peers. So all of us tend to look at our surrounding and try to copy the behavior or conduct of other people who are successful or who get a lot of appreciation. When we see people around us achieving success, we also try to develop a kind of attitude which is similar to them. So this is a self-improvement process. A person continuously watches others and try to change one's own attitude towards one's work, and this is how you can overcome the barrier. So in our today's video, we discussed about 3 points about attitude, that is formation of attitude, measurement of attitude and changing attitudes. So I hope you have understood everything today. Thank you.